Welcome, everybody. I'm going to read a very short piece of poetry from a wonderful book that I've had about 20 years called Only Fear Dies, which is a wonderful title. And this is by Barry Longs. If you just close your eyes a minute. Be still and know that I am God. For I am God, the spirit of the earth, beneath the world in you. When you know me in your stillness, you are one with the joy of life on earth and one with me. Be still. Listen. Take no thought. Descend into yourself. Come back to earth. Come back to life. Descend into me. Just rest there a moment. Just have that feeling of dropping down as he's talking about, that descending, coming out of all the everydayness of the world, dropping into that great stillness within us, in that place where we are one. Be aware of the flow of your breath in and out, dropping into the stillness and peace. We are one. We are one. We are one. And gently coming back. Welcome, Sarah. And Nikki's just joining as well. So this is the third one. I could probably carry on doing this for weeks on end because there's so much wonderful stuff in it. And just through you, what people have told me and the experiences people have had with working with this NVC, these 4 stages, I can see greater depth, all different kinds of things that we have to take into consideration. So it could be very ongoing, but we will complete today. And then it will be really super if anybody is trying to apply it to a situation and having any kind of difficulties, do get in touch because we can look at it together. I'm really happy to spend the time with you. And I've spent a little bit of time with a couple of people already. Well, 3, I think, this week, and it's been really, really helpful. So I did have in mind that we were going to look at this applied to judgment of oneself, but I don't think we're going to get there because we're going to be really continuing with where we already are. And I wonder, just quickly, welcome to Nikki. Hi, Nikki. I wonder if we might just, well, no, I think I'll just review one more time what we're trying to do. I'll mention then a couple of things that I think are the challenges we have to look at, because it isn't just so straightforward. The principles are right, but there are challenges along the way. So remind you of the steps. If you have any kind of disagreement or issue with anybody, and it doesn't matter how small it is or big it is. Oh, Helen, I didn't say hi to you. Welcome, Helen. Mhm. The principles here are really good. If you just leave the steps that we talked about to one side for a moment, just think about the overview. We need to hold within us that all disputes, disagreements, misunderstandings, they come from unmet needs within us. And this is so wonderful to get because if you can come into that place and have a look from above what's going on with you and somebody else, they have needs that are not being met and they are probably upset with you, and it's likely they think they're right. You have unmet needs, and you probably upset with them and you think you're right. Now, the usual way forward with all of this is one or other of the people starts having a go at the other. They might hold on to it for a while. They might decide for a while they're going to try to be nice and forgiving and kind and, put it to one side. But mostly we can't just get rid of it like that. Mostly we're going to have to do something. So sometimes what happens is it all boils up inside of us, and you'll recognize this, I'm sure, is all of a sudden there you are shouting at somebody, or judging them or criticizing them or blaming them, having a go at them. You didn't quite mean to, but the stuff you got going on got so triggered that it just burst out. And then the mess gets worse, doesn't it? Really hard to unravel. So what we're trying to get to is that we hold within us the understanding, the wisdom that it's about both people. It isn't just about, this other person is doing stuff that you're having difficulty with. You are no doubt doing stuff that they're having difficulty with. It's not always exactly the same, but that's broadly what's going on. And if we are able to say, what is actually going on here is that two people are struggling to get their needs met because they're not being met and their feelings aren't being expressed or they're not being heard, then we're stuck in this horrible soup of painful feelings and unmet needs, and it just goes on and on and on. And often what happens is people end up completely falling out and not speaking to each other for years or forever because they can't deal with it. It's got beyond them. So that's why I'm saying it's important that we hold the overview. If there is a dispute, disagreement, difficulty, issue of any sort, just think about that. Whoever's involved in this feels more or less the same, probably. They feel upset, they feel distressed, they feel angry, they feel frightened, they feel frustrated because what they need, their needs are not being understood, not being met. Nobody cares about their feelings. So do you see what I mean? It's just this whole mess in the middle. So what this teaching is about is saying, okay, if you know that and you can take on board these broad principles that are not necessarily in this order and it's not necessarily finished by having, one go at it. You start by describing what the issue is for you. You're not doing it only to get your needs met. You're trying to hold, I want the other person's needs met. It's the same as I need mine met. We are equal, we're one here. So if you really start there, then you can get to the place. And we've had some interesting times, haven't we, trying to describe what it is, because within our culture, at least, we're used to using lots of words of attack and criticism and judgment and blame and guilt making things, which obviously really it's not going to get us anywhere, is it? So if our idea is resolution, we just think, well, that's not going to work. We're not going to get there. Nobody being attacked is going to, well, a very rare person is going to say, you're absolutely right, I'm a truly dreadful person, I've done all these really awful things and I'm sorry. It might happen, but as if it's not going to happen directly as a result of you having a rant at them. So we describe what the problem is, what the issue is. We would then say, this is what I'm feeling. I feel distressed. I feel anxious. I feel frightened. I feel lonely. We don't say any feeling that's a covert attack. So we don't say, I feel abandoned, because that's tantamount to saying you abandon me. It's just hidden. So we're looking for feelings that we're not putting any blame onto the other person. Then we say what we need. So this is really important. Well, they're all really important. So I need, and so often it's I need to feel. I need to feel loved. I need to feel heard. I need to feel connected. I need to feel part of things. I need to feel accepted. All kinds of things we feel. And I sent you all the list, and I think some of you might have had a chance to have a look. It's an amazing amount of feelings we have going on. And because they are universal, that they're all recognized by everybody, then when you talk about feelings, you've got an immediate rapport. Because if you say, I'm feeling distressed, the person you've said it to knows what it's like to feel distressed. They can get that. So you've made a connection. That's really, really helpful. And then finally, you ask for something. I would like to ask that you, and it needs to be reasonably small if the dispute is difficult. You can't be saying, I need to ask for you to never, ever get angry with me again. That would be pointless, wouldn't it? Because it's too big. If the person gets angry with you a lot, you're wasting your time. So you've got to be very creative and think of something. I'd like to ask you, when you feel upset with me, to send me a little message saying you're upset and asking if we can talk. Something like that you might be able to do. See how broadly creative we need to be, and to ask for something that's possible. You don't make it an obstacle course for the person. So I think, is everybody reasonably okay now with what we're doing, what the steps are? And I've said it a few times, but we have to with these things. It takes a while, doesn't it, to sink down into our being what it is we're attempting to do. So the next thing I want to say to you about is two things I've discovered this week through conversations with lovely people who have said, yes, but. So I'm going to do the buts. I think I can say I've spoken to Helen and to Angela. Yeah. If I can't say it, I'll have to take that back. I didn't speak to Helen and Angela, but I think I'd already checked that was okay. So and is Angela there, Terry? Can she hear?
She's
It moved the mute button.
gone to the kitchen to take the soup off the cooker.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Boil it
okay.
over.
Yes, okay. Well, I'll start saying this, and I can repeat it again if she can't hear. Um, when I talked to Angela, she said, apart from telling me what the issue was that she was trying to deal with, she said, I can't do that. I can't do the MVC. I'm too angry. I'm too upset, you know? So, and that immediately made me really think about it, you know? If you are really upset with somebody and you're really angry and you really think it's all their fault, how are you going to say, this is what I observe, this is what I feel, this is what I need? You go, oh, goodness sake, you're not going to be able to do it, are you? So that was wonderful. That was wonderfully helpful. So I then thought about that a little bit more, and I realized that what the step that's needed here is, first we have to deal with the strength of our feelings, you know. And I've often talked about this with groups, you know, in terms of working with forgiveness and letting go. If you're in a rage, you can't go straight to forgiveness. You can't do it. Well, some truly wondrous people might be able to, but the majority of people can't link that far. They might have the idea at some point, you know I will need to forgive and let go. But if you're wildly angry, going to forgiveness is, light years away. You have to deal with your anger. You have to deal with your rage, your grief, your fear. So we're not going to do that now, but I'm just setting that in place there so that if anybody has this experience, well, I like the MVC, it makes a lot of sense, but I'm too upset. I can't just go there and be all reasonable and lovey-dovey and think that, we're all going to share our mutual needs. So I'd like to just flag that up and have a think about that. And if anybody wants to, because this is only an hour, it's not enough time to do all of that, maybe we have a separate session on it. But really think about, if you're so upset with somebody that you can't do these lovely NVC steps, you need to get help to deal with those feelings. You will need to get to the place of forgiving and letting go, but it's probably not going to get all done in the first moment. And sometimes with that, I would work with people in therapeutic sessions. I might get you to write a letter and rage at them and tear it up. I might get you to go and sit in your car and have a shout. And then what I used to do, and I'm sorry, Nikki, I've seen you and I'll be there in a moment, sorry. What I used to do long ago, because I was a very angry woman, I remember once I smashed up orange boxes. Do you remember those? I don't know if you still make them. They're out of a kind of balsa wood. They're not very strong and they splinter really easily. They're wonderful to get angry with. You can get a cricket bat and you can whack hell out of an orange box and have a good old shout. And then afterwards, you think, phew, so I'm great now. I can just go out and conquer the world, and having got rid of all that, I could do, okay, now I forgive you and I forgive myself for judging you and attacking you and all this, that, and the other. And then you can do the MVC. So that's just something to think about. And I will think about it too, whether I can deal with that a bit more in another session. Nikki.
Yeah, I was just thinking you could try doing MVC on yourself then, because quite often you find something quite interesting going on.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you, Nikki. And I was going to do that this week if we hadn't hit all these other interesting things. So maybe in a little bit further in the future, we will have a chance to do a bit more practicing. We'll have a session that's on how you use this for yourself. Because again, I've found that really wonderful. But the time you've worked through everything on yourself, you feel all right. And the thing you thought you might be going to deal with just seems to have gone away. It's quite amazing what happens. Thank you, Nikki. Okay, is there any questions on that? Is that all making sense so far? All right, for everybody. Okay. So if you're feeling like I'm just too cross with this person or I'm too upset with the situation to do these wonderful steps, just get in touch with me. We can have a little bit of time together. I'm really happy to do that. I don't charge anything. Just get in touch and we'll talk about it and we'll see if we can find a little way through for you. So that was one of them. Then the other situation, Helen, can I now talk about yours? I think you know I did mention it, didn't I? I'll just give a quick summary. Helen might want to add something. Helen told me about the situation. So I wanted to talk about the neighbour one. Is that all right, Helen?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. So Helen told me about the situation with a neighbour who's been doing a bit of gardening and helping her with things. And every now and again, he does things like touch her knee, and it's a bit invasive, you know. And she hasn't found the way to be able to deal with that. Now, in MVC, it's pretty straightforward, right? But it isn't the end of it. I'm just going to tell you what we came up with, and then I'll tell you the difficulty because this is really important. So we had stage 1. On several occasions, you have touched my knee. I feel anxious and uncomfortable. I need to feel safe and relaxed with you. I request that you don't touch me again. Now, so it's wonderfully straightforward, isn't it? It's very, you know, it's not attacking, it's not judging, it's not blaming, it's not doing anything. Just saying, this is what's happening, this is how I feel, this is what I need, and I request this. This is not a mutual one because in this situation, she's not going to be saying, "Could you tell me what your needs are?" I think we might be going down the wrong route there. In this one, she's just using it for herself. Now, what Helen said to me, and you can add to it, Helen. I'm just doing a summary because we don't have loads of time, and you know. But if I get anything wrong, tell me. Helen said to me that she doesn't feel able to do that. She doesn't feel, you know, that she can be, I don't know what the word is. What you tell it, Helen. What is it? What stops you from doing that, even though you can see it's really good? You told me.
Yeah. It quite shocks me that in these situations, I'm required to do or say something that just can't come out, and I can't put a word to it. I think Angela's point was very strong because in some situations it's fear. The other situation I told you about, I was very, very frightened, so I couldn't have had the presence of mind to do anything. On this thing with my neighbour, I did say to him, "You shouldn't be doing that." And he said, "But we're friends, aren't we?" And I was so confused because he was doing such good and lovely, generous things for me, and he had been a friend, and here he was being this other person that was making me feel so uncomfortable. And I just don't know. I don't feel I've got the resources to deal with it. Maybe that's what it is. And what is very big in my head is I don't want to upset this other person and put them on the spot. I can't bear it.
I think if you could see that this that we came up with is not putting on the spot, it's not accusing, it's not judging, it's talking from yourself. It's observing what's being done and it's not all right for you. That's all. And it's a polite request not to do that anymore. It's very different from saying you shouldn't be doing that. If you say you shouldn't be doing that, it's an attack, isn't it? It's a judgment. He's wrong. And as soon as the person is wrong, you're lost. You know, and Marshall Rosenberg, who started all of this, he was really brilliant with this. He always said, if you once slip into any kind of attack, it's all lost. You might as well give up. So it's really holding that. You just want to be, especially in this case, short, simple, clear, honest, not attacking. And that we came up with, I think that if you really thought about it, you could probably do it.
I think I need to really digest this. It's quite new to me. I do. I think if I absorb that and then try and put it into practice with something.
I think so. Pick
Yeah.
something really easy. You know, this is difficult, isn't it? You know, if
It's-
say you lent somebody a book and they didn't return it to you, you know, you could do that quite easily, couldn't you? Oh, I noticed you didn't return that book to me that I lent you.
I
And I'm feeling a bit anxious and I need to feel really relaxed about it. I wonder if you could return it. That kind of level, you know, you can use the practice without it, you know, being scary. Let me just say hello to Grace.
Hello.
Hi, Grace. Welcome. Welcome, Grace. I'm just talking with Helen about her practice. I think you've seen the videos, haven't you? So you're
I
probably quite
have, yes.
pleased with what we're doing. We're just having a look at Helen's issue. So yeah, I think about that because again, like the one I just talked about, there is something going on there that stops you. So equally, you need to work more on what is stopping me. And I said to you, didn't I, that I thought it was something to do with a self-worth. You thought it was to do with boundaries. And it isn't to do with boundaries, I don't think. I think it's feeling you are valuable enough and important enough for yourself to make the case here, to actually do it. So just have reflect some more and get in touch again. Yeah. Okay. Lovely. Thank you. So, is there anything else that anybody wants to share about to do with something they tried? I know, Sarah, you might want to share something. Are you there? I know sometimes she has to come home and get something to eat. No, I think she might not be there right this moment. Okay. So
I am, but I can't talk at the moment.
that's all right. Okay. So we come back to Angela. So Angela, I explained a little bit about something that was going on for you and that it was difficult for you to actually do the process because you were too upset. And then I got in touch with you, didn't I, to say that I really understood that and that was really important. But can I just share with what we came up with? If you could get through your upset, yeah, this is what you might be able to say. Oh, and it was because can I say what it is about the details a little bit? What it was about, the issue? You sure? I don't want to share anything that's not appropriate for you. So Angela was doing a class with crafts and so on, and the teacher said that something she'd done wasn't right. And she said it in front of people, and she said it in a way that was quite difficult to be with. You know, Angela was feeling really, really upset. And the NVC approach will be good, but she's got too much upset to be able to go into it. Yeah. But if she can, and hopefully we'll work with this a bit more, this is what we thought. You told me in the presence of other people my work was done badly. I felt embarrassed and stupid. I need to feel relaxed and confident. I ask that any comments you have to make are made privately and that you avoid words like bad and wrong. Yeah, how does that feel to people? Give me a little nod. That's feeling all right. Yeah. Okay. So you get to when you get used to this, you get to a real place of clarity. And there was no attack there, was there? There was no judgment. She wasn't making anybody wrong or bad or stupid or anything. She was simply saying, this is what's going on. So it would give her the hope of being able to solve it. Okay, so is there anything else that anybody like to ask about? Anybody having a go at an MVC thing and it's hard. Yeah, Nikki.
Yeah, I have been doing MVC ages ago, and I sort of came to this, not really clear about it, but it seemed to me that often, and possibly with these examples as well, I sort of felt that you needed to make a step beforehand, like connecting with the person, because if you haven't actually connected with them, even though you're not attacking them, it can still feel a bit abrupt. And
Yes.
And that might even be like days before or something. But I think it's a bit hard from cold to go and do this NVC thing. But whereas, or maybe even if you do the appreciation, like I'm appreciating all your help, maybe you're in a more connected place for them to be able to hear your side of it. Because even if it's not attacking, you can actually feel attacked. The word aren't attacking, but you can feel attacked just because you've not done something right. Because people are very sensitive, aren't they? Especially in I don't know, Britain, whatever.
It does seem that way. That's a really good point. Yes, you wouldn't just launch into this. You would set it up in some way. And that's really helpful to say that. You'd be saying, there's a couple of things I need to talk to you about. I wonder if we could meet up tomorrow or something like that. So you'd set it up. The person would know that something important was going to be discussed. And I think you'd be more ready for it. You would never want to just launch into this in the middle of you having a cup of tea, talking about something else, and suddenly you go into this. You would need some preparation for it. So that's really helpful. Thank you, Nikki. And often with these things, people just suddenly start talking about them. It does happen like that. And the other person is not feeling receptive. They absolutely don't want to hear in that moment. They're just about to go somewhere else, make a phone call, go shopping, their mind somewhere else. So that if you launch into something at the wrong moment, you won't get anywhere either. It begins to emerge, doesn't it? It's very skilled, but I promise you that it's when you really get the hang of it, it's so worthwhile. You'll gradually get so that you can resolve anything. Well, that's my experience anyway. And I don't necessarily do things in that order. But it's the overview that I've talked to you about that's really important. And so one more thing about setting it up, as Nikki's pointing out, you might need to talk about how long that it's people who feel that you've got something important to talk about. If they think that you might go on for hours, they're going to avoid trying to meet with you. But if you say, have you got 10 minutes? Maybe you think 10 minutes enough to make a start here. Have you got 10 minutes? Can you find 10 minutes tomorrow or maybe next week? Do you see it's opening it up and giving a parameter is really good, because it's not scary, is it, that somebody's going to ask to speak to you for 10 minutes? But if the thought is it might be hours and they might go on and on and on, then you might feel that you're going to run in the opposite direction. Thank you, Nikki. Anything else? Any other? And if any other MVC situations, would be lovely to hear. Sarah.
Mine isn't a situation as such, but I was just thinking that is there any time when this isn't appropriate behavior, an appropriate method? Because perhaps the person that you're struggling with isn't receptive. You don't feel is receptive to, and maybe it's better just to walk away or distance yourself from that person because it's not worth it really. And perhaps it's not, perhaps you can take or leave it, it depends who the relationship is with, I suppose, doesn't it?
Yes. I think there are times, where you really feel this is not going to go anywhere. And I feel that, it's almost like that with Angela. What I was talking through those steps aren't exactly things that she could probably do. It's just if she was able to, that would be a good way to do it. And there's just a message from Angela there that it's too late probably to do anything now. And I do think there are some situations where you really say, Okay, I've done my best here, and it doesn't, maybe it's not important enough to you, but what is important at some level underneath it all is that we need to remember to love, don't we? We need to remember to love ourselves, to love other people, and loving somebody doesn't mean to say talk to them nonstop or you ever talk to them again. So you can quietly detach from people and quietly move away, but still hold love in your heart for them. When we did the Love Without Conditions work, it wasn't about overtly loving. It was about holding all beings in love in your heart. That's unconditional. There's nothing to do with how they behave or what they ever did or anything, because we need lots more love in the world, don't we? Thank you, Sarah. Anyone else like to mention? I think, Angela, do you want to follow that one up? I don't know if everybody saw the message that you put, that the person has blocked you really from being able to say anything.
Yeah, it's when it's one-sided, it has to be just yourself. If the other person refuses to want to do anything about it or own any of their part, completely blanks any responsibility or compassion for what they have dished out, then there isn't even a starting point with two of you. So it has to be just an internal healing and coming to what you've just suggested, feel loving. But first of all, the hurt has to be healed before that means I have to feel love for myself first. Then I can extend love. I can't just do it artificially or affirmationally. That's not a word.
Yes, new word. No, you're absolutely right. And this that we came up with is what you would do if you could speak to her, but you can't. But if you go through that and you reflect on it and you feel it, that process in itself is helpful for you. And you might be able to say it out loud as if you were saying it to her. And then when you get to the end, you might be feeling, well, okay, now I've said my piece, I've said that, I've done it really nicely. Am I getting ready now to forgive her? Am I getting ready to perhaps to understand that whatever she did, that was all she was capable of in the moment? And maybe I can, maybe I can let go. Yeah, go on.
That's stage 2 for me.
Yeah, okay. We've got a principle, haven't we? As we know from the course, what we're trying to get to is understanding that what anybody does that hurts, well, is potentially painful for another person. It comes from their wounded place. If nobody was wounded, nobody would be horrible to anybody. Nobody would be unkind or mean or lying or cheating or stealing or hurtful or thoughtless. These things exist because of the wounds that we have. So I think it's really important to remember that nobody is really just a horrible person. They're a wounded person. We're wounded people, We don't understand everything. We don't see everything that we do. We make mistakes. And we can be mean sometimes without meaning to be. So, it's like extending that broad picture of kindness and compassion and realizing that we're just a little bunch of wounded people walking about doing the best we can. And we try to learn more, don't we, how to do things better, how to get to the point of forgiveness and letting go as quickly as we can. Let's listen to the song. That's probably enough for talking for a moment, because we listened to about half a minute of it last time. And it's such a nice song. So I think when we've been talking a bit and lots of thinking going on, it's good just close your eyes and just feel into this lovely song. Because what it's talking about is the truth that we're all looking for connection. Whatever you talked about with people you've got issues with, they are looking for connection. They might not seem to be, but they're looking for connection. They want to be loved. They want to be appreciated. They want to be valued. They want to not feel separate. They want to feel included. There's all those desires going on in everybody. So whatever anybody's done out there, that's where they're coming from. They're looking for connection. So let's have a little listen again to this. Just keep your eyes closed a moment. Just feeling those words that we're all reaching out for connection. Reach out and touch someone. Reaching out for connection. We're all innocent here. And I know that when we look at people's behavior in the world, sometimes it's hard to see the innocence, but it's still there. It's never gone. We're as innocent as we were when we were born, pure and free and good. Just letting our compassion awaken, compassion for ourselves. But when sometimes we are blind or unkind or unthinking, we don't realize where we're coming from. And we forget to love ourselves. We forget to love others. So if you can feel that compassion in your heart, there's a lot of pain, isn't there, in the world? Everything that's ever done that's mean or unkind or harmful comes from that pain, that wound. We don't just condone and say nothing. We can hold that in our hearts, that we all want the same. We all want to be happy. We want to be loved. We want to be connected. We want to be safe. So let's just feel our hearts soften. And remember the beautiful quality of gentleness. Be gentle to yourself, to ourselves. Be gentle in your dealings with others. You can be strong and clear and gentle. Above all, remember love. A love that doesn't discriminate. It simply flows through us, first to ourselves, then out to all life. And if there's anybody in your life at the moment that you're having some kind of issue with, whether it's gone or it's present, to see if you can hold that person in love. There's a lesson in the Course where we see someone who we've taken as our enemy. We see them coming towards us, bathed in light. And we ask them to bring us into the light where they are. So if there's anybody comes to mind, even if it's difficult, even if you have a barrier of upset, let's call it, just for a moment, see if you can see them held in love and light. See the light around them, love in their hearts, the desire to be one, to be happy, to be connected. Let's just come back to those words again that we usually begin with. We are one. That includes with all the people we have difficulties with. We are one. Just reach deep into your heart, into that one universal heart of all beings. We are love. We are one. And just gently coming back. Take your time. Oh, I think everybody's more or less back. You can keep your eyes closed anyway if you want to. I just want to check with Sarah. There was something you told me about whether you might want to say something. Because you were using the MVC, I believe, in a slightly different way, and I thought that was really helpful. Mm.
Yeah, hello. So I thought the moment had passed. I was all away. Yeah. So first of all, in the week, I had a situation. I had to talk to my boss about something. He wanted me to do something in a certain way, and honestly, and certainly with Andrew and Helen, it's so difficult if the emotions just whoosh. It's easy to listen to all the instructions, but when I'm actually in the situation and feeling like something is being imposed on me that I don't want, that was really hard. But I did at least manage to get into a reasonably calm place to talk about it, but I didn't really follow the steps. And then on my way over to my mum's on Saturday, I was listening to part 2, and I was aware that mum's got some various challenges she's got in life, and it's very tough for her. And I always sort of come, I think I've got my superwoman cape on, and I'm going to come and fix it, and let's solve it, and come with my solution hat on. And of course, mum's on the call. Hello, mum. It's it suddenly occurred to me, how about actually listening to how she's feeling rather than coming in. So I come in, mum knows this, I come in trying to be the perfect daughter, and then very quickly get quite irritated about this and the other. And I thought, I know mum's got some difficulties. How about trying to follow these steps? And we had a really sort of fruitful conversation where I just applied the stages of how are you feeling and how do you want to feel, and then we got to the sort of practicalities of what the possibilities are. And I hope mum agrees. It was a good conversation, it really was. I feel that mum felt heard rather than yet another person telling her what she should do, and she's quite capable of making her own decisions, but giving someone the space and the airtime than to actually talk about how they're feeling about something and how they want to feel. And I can't remember the 3 steps now. I've lost it. There's the how do you feel? How do you want to
You describe without judgment what you're upset about. And that might be relevant in this particular issue.
Because it wasn't about a person doing anything. It was more just a general situation that mum finds herself in, and she has a lot of difficulty with her current living situation. And I realised that, like my brother was coming over for lunch, and my daughter sent her flowers on Sunday, and my son's, we all do things, but it's actually not really addressing what mum needs. And it was a lovely experience. Mum was very open, and we had a lovely conversation, mum, I think.
Yes, we did. And
Yeah.
it was very helpful to me, actually, because a lot of people, they just want to put a plaster on. As you said, they just want to put the plaster on to help. And it doesn't always solve the situation, but Sarah did actually practically resolve a situation, which was very helpful, dear.
Great to hear. It's really great. And I think that's a really good place to come to towards the end of the session, is because what it's saying is we've got this bunch of things. We've got describing without attack. We've got what are your needs? What are my needs? We've got what do you feel? What do I feel? What do I want to ask for? That's it. You can do them in any order. You can bring them in at any point. Like Sarah, what you were talking about with, I think it was with your boss. You could easily return to the same thing. It's because if we slip into defense, we're also lost. Because defense is really just the other side of attack, isn't it? So it's very easy to get into trying to explain and justify and defend and everything, then we're lost again. But if we can simply say, yes, in that case, what I'm feeling is this. What I need is this. I would like this. And you just keep coming back to, this is what I see. This is what I need. This is what I feel. What do you feel? What do you need? What can we do? You know, those beautiful, gentle inquiries, thoughtfulness, listening. It's wonderful, isn't it? It's so just really, I'd like us to go away with that. Just hold those. Describe, need, feel, ask for in any order, and hold on to those in any discussion with somebody where you're trying to resolve something. You will always get there because nobody can argue with what you need, can they? Nobody's going to say, you say, I need to feel peaceful. They're not going to say, well, no, you don't. You need to feel upset. You know, you're stating things that are just about you. So you're not inviting an argument. You said X. If they said X, they did. You know, I'm asking for this. This is what I feel. This is what I need. Do you see what I'm getting at? It's very powerful to hold the essence of these four things and use them, come back to them, repeat them. Don't go off anywhere. Don't make it too big. Come back to those things and you will always get somewhere. Good. So we've got a couple of minutes left. Anything else before we finish? Any other comments or queries? Go on, some of them, we've got 4 minutes. There must be somebody who'd like to say something wondrous just to finish us off. Yes, Angela.
Not wondrous though.
Oh dear.
Just to add to my situation, it wasn't just literally about the thing that happened being put down. I was triggered by some of the things that she said and happened, and the consequence with the management not dealing with it properly. I was very triggered, so more upset because of that. So yeah, I'll have to just do a little bit of settling down before I can do the reaching out bit. Although it will make it, what you said, Leah, will make sense in a while, but just not in this moment.
No, it's all right. When I was saying about this often stuff we have to deal with before we can do these things, that's what I mean. It's when you get triggered. If you weren't triggered, you wouldn't be upset. Everything's always to do with the past as well. Nothing's ever just to do with now. If it was just to do with now and you were this wonderful, peaceful, non-reactionary person, somebody would say you're a stupid cow and you'd think, oh, that's interesting, and move on, you know, it wouldn't bother you. But if you've got stuff in your childhood about being called stupid, you will be triggered, you know, if it's not fully dealt with. Right? So everything where we have a reaction rather than just thinking, oh, that person just said that or did that, or well, okay, is there anything I needed? You might talk to the Holy Spirit. You might say, that person just said that to me. Would it be useful? Do you want me to say anything? Or shall I just get on with my life? Shall I just forgive them? You know, if we can get to that really peaceful place one day, we don't react to anything because there's no triggering to happen because we haven't got any old stuff. So it's perfectly reasonable to be triggered, but you've got to deal with the triggering now.
I can say something. What did you say? You wanted something wonderful or something?
Wondrous.
So I can add something wondrous. But a prayer that helps me in such times. Everybody knows it from A Course in Miracles. In fact, it was from the lesson. I am the Holy Son of God, which is that today or yesterday? I can't remember. And part of it says, you who believe you are weak and frail, with devastated, oh God, I'm lost already, with futile hopes and devastated dreams, born but to die, to weep and suffer pain. Hear this. All power is given unto you in earth and heaven. There is nothing that you cannot do. Of course, it ends with, because I am the Holy Son of God himself.
Isn't that a beautiful place to finish? So you can do this. You can do it. You can take the stages, you know, you can deal with the triggering, deal with where it came from, move through, begin to forgive, begin to let go. And then one day you'll say, okay, I'm ready for that MVC now. Doesn't mean you're going to speak to them, but you can do the process and you can come to a conclusion. Wonderful. That was wondrous. So thank you, everybody. It's been fabulous working with you, and really take me up on this. If you want to talk about something further, you got stuck and you don't know how to do this, or this is not working, or there's another impediment we haven't thought of, just get in touch and we'll talk about it. I would really, really be pleased to help you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Loads of love.
Leah.
Thank you.
Love to everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Love to everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Namaste.
Bye.
Bye bye.